Well, what a way to kick off IACP TV 2016, but with an interview with the President himself, the President of the IACP, Chief Terrence Cunningham. Terry, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much indeed for taking time to talk to us today.
No, I appreciate the opportunity.
Now, what an honor it is, isn't it, to be President of IACP?
It's an incredible honor to be elected among your 27,000 peers.
But what a challenging year you've had. Talk us through some of those challenges.
When I first came in, Steve, I had no idea what I was going to face. I mean, we were kind of right on the heels of Ferguson and the events that had happened there, and there have been a lot of demonstrations throughout the country. Clearly, we were looking at a lot of terrorist issues around the world, but I had no idea how difficult and challenging this year would be. But through those challenges, I've absolutely seen a lot of opportunities.
What are some of the most difficult challenges been for you?
Well, I think probably the most difficult challenges were those 2 weeks in July when the 5 Dallas officers were killed, and then 2 weeks later when the Baton Rouge officers were attacked and killed as well. But through the year was when I first came in November. I went to Interpol, the Interpol General Meeting in Rwanda, and then 3 days later I went to the Ameripol meeting in Mexico and was honored to be able to represent the IACP there and speak at both of those events. And then right after that, the Paris attacks happened, and 130 people killed in the Bataclan attacks. In December 23rd, the Department of Justice notified the IACP that they were suspending the equitable sharing, the asset forfeiture program, which so many of us and so many of our chiefs and our partners and our stakeholders depend on to make sure that they can keep their officers in the federal task forces. Then March was Brussels and the attack at the airport there. And it just seemed to get worse and worse. And then May was the Pulse nightclub shooting, and then up to July when both Dallas and Baton Rouge occurred.
Now you talk about Dallas and Baton Rouge. I know that led you to go to the White House to see the president. What did you talk about there?
So there were actually 2 separate meetings that I went to with the president, where the president was actually in attendance. The first meeting was a much smaller group. We met in the Roosevelt Room in the White House. There were a number of our other partner organizations, national sheriffs, major city chiefs, major county sheriffs. The president came in and he addressed us and said, hey, look, I know I've made some missteps. There are some things that I've done that has indicated to law enforcement that I don't support law enforcement, and I need to hear from you. I need to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. What is it that gives an indication that I don't support law enforcement? Why would people say that? And what can we do to move forward? How can we bridge this gulf and this divide that we see with our community, and particularly with community police relations right now? And so it was a very interesting meeting, the first meeting. And then the second meeting, that group was made up of community activists, some legislators, police chiefs, other folks there from the Black Lives Matter, Campaign Zero. Al Sharpton was there. But it was very, very interesting. The president opened it up. He made a couple of opening statements and said, we're going to stay here as long as it takes. I want everybody we're going to go around this room. I want you to be brief. I want you to be concrete in your statements. And let's try to find a way to move forward. And I had the opportunity to talk about the challenges that we've seen in law enforcement. I think it was a great opportunity for us to try and educate the policymakers on exactly what the challenges are that we face every day. But they were very, very good conversations and difficult conversations to have.
Now, I know one of the things you've done this year is set up Institute for Community Police Relations. Tell us a little bit about why.
Sure. So going back to, I think it was fall of 2014, we had a meeting at the IACP at the conference where we brought in all the community leaders and community activists. This is just post-Ferguson, to bring people into the room, a number of police chiefs, and talk about the challenges that we face in regard to community police relations. We issued a report as a result of that, and then we took that report, and that report was the basis for us to stand up the Institute for Community Police Relations. And I think it's important, just the title of it, that it's the Institute for Community Police Relations, not Police Community Relations, because it really does start with the community. Right. And people forget that the police are the community, and we're part of the community. And the one thing that we really wanted to make sure that we stressed is that we want to reinforce the good culture in policing and leadership in policing. And it's our job as police administrators to root out the bad culture. But it's really important for us to make sure that we provide the tools to our law enforcement partners in the community to make sure that they can police with transparency and accountability and provide resources to them so that they can interact better with their community.
The final question is, I know it's been a year of challenges, but you end your year with the IACP as an organization in very strong health, don't you?
We do. As I said, I mean, it's challenging. Through all those challenges, I've seen opportunities, but we've certainly seen incredible growth in the IACP membership. And I think that it's because, number one, I think that the people out there in the profession have seen IACP in a very, prominent leadership role as we try to work through these challenging times. I think that people see that we've tried to strike the right balance. It wasn't, more of a union attitude, or
Sure.
We weren't making demands. We were making sure that, because if we do make demands, we'll be marginalized, and then we can't be at the table, and we can't, make the changes that we need to make, and move, the profession forward. I think that's, the IACP's tagline, serving the leaders today and developing the leaders of tomorrow. That's really what it's about.
Chief, thank you very much indeed.
Great, thank you very much, Steve.
It.
Great, appreciate it. Thanks.